Hello, everybody. How are you? How is everything in your world? 60 degrees right now. Wow. That's not what I thought. I'm being encircled by pickup trucks. Got a huge day today, so I got out here earlier than I have been. 16th, it's 5:22 a.m. 60 degrees. It's supposed to go up to 80. That's pretty high for. It's about what it's been. Yeah, about what it's been. 80, 81, 82, right in there. I think I got in like 15,000 steps yesterday. I looked at my steps for the past, couple of weeks. I do pretty good up till I did pretty good up till both weeks, like Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Those 3 days, I'd miss one because of work or some other BS. I didn't bring an extra granola bar. Yeah, Lee. I always try to bring an extra granola bar. If I don't bring a extra granola bar, sometimes, not always, sometimes, I start getting real dizzy. And as soon as I eat, I'm fine. It just means I need to eat, usually. That's why you should always eat. Don't die. Don't. Well, there's one person I read. Let me look this up right now. one expert I read said he counts macronutrients. What I was going to say was don't count calories and don't calorie don't not eat, basically, is what I'm trying to see. For me, and this is hard, I think it's a guy thing maybe, you know, get a good plate of food, you're like, yeah, let's eat. But you may not need all that food. But anyway, this guy counts macronutrients. You're asking what's that? It's a substance required in relatively large amounts by organisms, in particular a type of food. Example, fat, proteins, and carbohydrates. I'll try to cross right there. I'll cross right there. Recorded in large amounts in the human diet. Well, what does that tell you? Let's look up how to count macronutrients. How to count macronutrients. Alright. Try this range of macro ratio for weight loss. Alright, so they're just saying count, carbs, proteins, and fat. Alright, I understand that. I've never heard it in terms of macronutrients. So carbs, proteins, and fat are all types of nutrients, and so you count them. And all right, so for example, in this case, they're saying 10 to 30% carbs, 40 to 50% protein, 30 to 40% fat. I'd say mine leans way too much on carbs and fat. So I need more protein. It says if you're very active, you'll need more carbs, 450 grams per day, if you exercise 5 days a week, for example. Well, I've been exercising 5 days a week, but they might think I think they're thinking of exercise as like running, exertion, high intensity. I like running. I like riding my bike. I could probably up the intensity, for sure. I could probably up the intensity, like crossing this crosswalk here. Somebody's out here doing the steps. So what you do is you run these steps like a caterpillar. And one lady's, it looks like a nun, is out here walking the steps. Like a lady with a, let me see if my Catholic education is. Just that her hair is done in such a way it looked like she had like a small habit on. This dude over here is running. I used to walk him. I used to run them sometimes, but you know what? There's some other people out here jogging. Golly, look at these people up there getting up early. There's a whole group of about 10 people over here now. Now they're running the steps. Look at it. See, right there. Right there. You see him? I guess. Yeah, they're just flying up and down those steps, man. That'll wear you out. That'll get you into shape, too. Remember when you were young, kids? I mean, they're just going. You can see at the bottom of the steps sometimes they take a half step like they're getting tired. The guy in front is just like, oh, one guy's taking them 2 at a time. Right there. The guy in the front is just skipping up, and yeah, my only fear is I can't get injured. I can't. If I get injured, so I don't want to fall. On the steps, I feel like if I make one little error, I could get injured. And I just can't get injured. I just got so many things to do. Does that make any sense? I've just got so much to do. Even if I injured my hands, like if I reached out to stop a fall or something, and I don't know, twisted my hand or wrist or whatever. I need my hands to, work the computer and the phone. Going on at the Microsoft Theater. It sounded like a rocket taking off. Are they cleaning up the vents there? It sounds like Staples too, I was reading an article yesterday on The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. A really good writer, Katie Weaver, Katie, C-A-I-T-Y, writing for GQ. Really good writer. she said, she said, The Rock gets up earlier than you, stays up later than you, gets more out of the day than you. He took her to one of his personal gyms. He's got personal gyms that are huge and fully stocked, and they're only for one client himself. He has him in his home base in Florida, scouting one in New York area, and I guess on location they set up a personal gym for him. It's part of his contract. I didn't realize he comes from a long line of wrestlers. His father was a famous wrestler, and his I think his grandfather on his mother's side, I believe, was a wrestler. Something like the Great Samoan. So his father is black Nova Scotian. In other words, he's from Nova Scotia in Canada. Not everybody knows what that is. Nova Scotia. It's a province in Canada. And his mother's Samoan, I believe. So his mother's father was, a wrestler billed as something like the Great Samoan. I'm making that up, but something Samoan. So The Rock played football, of course, at the national championship Miami team, and tried to play pro ball, I think, and somehow that didn't work out. He's 6'4", 270, so he's probably big enough. I don't know what happened there, but there was fleeting attempt at playing professional ball. That didn't work out, so then he said, okay, what about wrestling? And he started wrestling as Rocky Maivia. The Maivia is a nod to, the combination of the names is a nod to his wrestling ancestry, lineage, DNA. And so then he was real clean cut in the ring. He was a clean cut character, and so I don't know what they call it, a good guy, I guess, or there's terminology in wrestling. You got your villains, you got your good guys, and I have those terms wrong, I'm sure, but they decided to go with it. They played him up as that's when he became The Rock, right? And it was almost an instant hit as The Rock. And he got his whole, I don't know, how did they develop those slogans? Like, can you smell what The Rock has been cooking? How did he think of that? How did they think of that stuff? I mean, it's fantastic. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he got the arched eyebrow. Remember that? He'd arch one eyebrow. And he just had that charisma, as that he has now. He's always had that, I guess. But the author said And I've done this forever. I always get grief about this from my friends. They go, "You're interviewing again." But I guess everybody he meets, he's like, "Oh, where are you from? Oh, okay. What yeah, what was that like? Your parents are from the here and there. Oh, nice. What? How do you like your job? All right. How long you been doing it? Oh, okay. That's an interesting. Do you know such and such? Blah blah blah. I've been doing that all of my life, and I guess he does that to everybody. Now, there's a big difference. He apparently he remembers everything. That's a huge difference. I don't, you know. That's why you rely on computers. I let technology handle that stuff. But they say he remembers things people tell him, and so he'll see you later, like a year later, let's say, and he'll go, "Oh yeah, you're from Tennessee." That's a real talent, and they say a lot of politicians have that talent, natural ability to remember, not just remember things, but remember what people told them about themselves. And they say Bill Clinton has that. I've read that Bill Clinton has that talent. And so, as a politician, you can imagine that's like a superpower. And I don't mean now they may have assistants that help them write it down, and certainly for big donors and important people, they they probably catalog it and refresh the information in the politician's mind. His staff probably helps him. But I'm talking just straight up remember, have the ability to remember and recall things that people have told you about themselves. I'm not talking remembering mathematical formulas or being able to, some of these people remember where they were. I'm just talking about the ability to remember details about a person's life that they have told you. That's a superpower. And that's one, at the end of this article, they were talking to the author, Katie Weaver, talks to The Rock and says, "Well, what about these stories about you running for president?" He goes, "It could be a good idea." Like, he doesn't rule it out, and he doesn't try to humble pie it. Like, geez, people have asked me that, and he doesn't, he's not. That's maybe another good quality he has. He doesn't do the fake, or it might be fake, but he doesn't. Do the humility thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if I explained that right. He's humble, but he doesn't. It's not like it comes off fake. Yeah, I'm not sure I explained that right, but so she pressed him on a few issues of the day. This article, I think, is at least a year old, because he said both Clinton and Trump campaigns asked him to endorse them, and he declined to do either one. Saying that he'd rather let people make up their own mind. But anyway, if he did run for president, and the article made the point that you don't have to make a pit stop as governor in California anymore. That what the Trump campaign taught us is that anybody can jump right in. But if he did run, I think he'd have to, gain a lot of experience in different areas. But if he truly does, if that's not just PR, if he truly does have that ability to remember people's details, and when he sees them again, talk about it and bring it up, and uh, yeah, I'd say in terms of a campaigner, that's going to be a massive benefit. And let's be honest, even even when you get in, you're constantly campaigning. But the guy's a global brand. And think about the times that people wanted to meet Clinton. Remember when those girls from Korea ventured into North Korea and got caught? I think they said they didn't know where they were and they just made a mistake. So they called on Clinton to help, or yeah, I think they asked Clinton to help. This is back in the 90s. And then North Korea said, well, we want to meet Clinton. So we don't, yeah, I think Clinton started to intervene in their behalf. He might have been out of office by then. Right around late 90s, early 2000s. I think he was out by, when did he finish? He did 90, he was most of the 90s. I don't know. But anyway, I don't think it was the current dude. It was, I think it was his father was still alive, running North Korea. Whoever it was, they said, you can tell I don't have the grasp on details like The Rock. Like what? Who was it? No, it was the leader of North Korea, either the father or the son at the time. I can't even remember when the father died. So you have Kim Jong-il and you have Kim Jong-un. And the leader at the time said, well, I want to meet Clinton in this. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to meet Clinton. And I guess Kim Jong-un has, every movie ever made in a library. This is before Netflix and that. They collected in every movie ever made, and it's in a big library in his house, so that he can watch, because they love movies. They love, so that power of that popular culture is strong in the world. So somebody like The Rock, attention residents, please be advised that AIDS Walk Los Angeles will take place on October 21st. The following street closures will be in effect. And you can see the layout. So that's, what's today? Today's the 16th. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday? Wednesday the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. So this Sunday. AIDS Walk Los Angeles. So, The Rock, with his ability to remember, as a great campaigner, he has some of the superpowers that great politicians have. He already has them. And they say he's done that all his life. He's remembered things about people. And then he's recognized around the world. And that's what, fortunately or unfortunately, that's what Trump had. He had the ability to he had he was recognized everywhere. Now, Trump probably doesn't remember everything about somebody like Clinton, and I don't think he cares. Now, they do say, I have read several times that in person, Trump is very charming, right? Like on the golf course, or if you have dinner with him, he's, you know, personally very good with people. He's not so good, maybe not so good with, like North Carolina just asked for $900 million for hurricane relief. He said, we'll give you 6. You know, he's not the... But then in that same article, they said at the bottom that North Carolina has already had 1.3 billion in relief. So I don't know, but you know, Trump's whole thing is combativeness, right? But he goes to the thing is he goes to that every time. That's his. Go-to, you know, strategy. Whereas the Rock, he said that he wishes that the current administration would hear other people out. That would be more his style, is what he said. Is that he'd say, I want to know what they have to say. Maybe we can learn from what they have to say. Something like that. You know, and the funny thing is, people are already chuckling. Oh yeah, The Rock as the president. Sure. Don't count him out. Remember the last time people counted somebody out? You know, say what you want. Well, I'll bet even Trump was surprised, but I mean, come on, man. Nobody expected. Very few people. Very few people. Probably even Trump voters. I talked to some Trump voters. I said, did you expect that to happen? They're like, nope. Everybody, even Trump people thought it was going to be a Clinton win. And not every Trump voter, but you know, a lot of the ones I talked to, they're like, yeah, we didn't expect it at all. They were as shocked as the Clinton people. I guess these people are running for the bus there. I think that's what's happening. Whatever happened to that? Uber was going to come out with a service. There's even cheaper than Uber Pool, and it was. You had to go to a certain. You had to meet. Like Uber Pool, they pick you up, but you have to share a ride. But this service was even more. It was run across there. Let me see. What was it? You had they would pick you up at a certain location. You had to walk to a location. They wouldn't pick you up where you're standing. They'd pick you up at a centralized location, and drop you off at a centralized location. So let's say you're at the Glendale Galleria in Glendale, that's a mall, and you're going to downtown LA. Well, the way it is now, they pick you up on a shared ride. They pick you up at the Glendale Galleria, and you may or may not have to stop for other riders on the way. And because of that potential inconvenience, you pay a discounted rate. Well, this is an even more discounted rate, and not only did you possibly have to share a ride, but they wouldn't just come and get you where you are. They'd only pick you up at and drop you off at certain locations. How they actually worked it, I don't know, but that's more like a bus, right? They pick you up at a stop, and the discount was even greater in that case. But I don't know whatever happened to that service. Did it keep going? Did it keep on going? I don't think Lyft ever did it. I think it was just an Uber thing. The problem the ride-sharing companies are having is that they're not making profit. So they're trying to figure out, despite as ubiquitous as they are, and everybody knows, a lot of people have taken an Uber, but not as many people as they need, right? They need it to be more ubiquitous, more the norm, more usage, more. Now they're losing less money, and it's not unusual for companies of this size to not be profitable for many years. And when they do turn, they become, very, very profitable. So nothing is really out of the ordinary in terms of new technology not being profitable for a long time. That's pretty normal. But they're trying to grow their business, and they figure the only way to do it is to get more riders. And you say, well, or you could get them to spend more, but I think they're trying to grow the number of people that have tried the service. I gotta turn around here. Go down one more block. So the rock. The only thing. So if reading this article in GQ, it's probably a year old, I guess. You get the impression that he's got super energy, of course, that he works hard, that he loves people, right? And remembers details about people. He's got huge charisma. He could get elected. He's got a worldwide brand, loved by people around the world. And so it starts to make you think, is the nature of the presidency changed? I mean, it's always been kind of a little bit of that, a little bit of show business, right? Popularity, it's a popularity contest, just like high school. Life is high school, basically, let's be honest. But has it changed to such an extent that you don't need any political experience at all? And I don't mean just in terms of getting elected. I mean in terms of running things. You might think, well, wouldn't you need some experience? Like they say, the governor of California pit stop. Before you try to take the big job as president. Although in the case of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think it might have hurt him in terms of he can't run for president anyway. But I think it maybe hurt his brand a little because the results were mixed. Um, yeah, can you learn it? Yeah, you can learn it, but he could get elected. Could he do the job? He's a smart guy. He could do it. Could he be effective? Could he understand policy? It's funny because there's an art to government, right? I watched a Bill Maher segment, and he said he made fun of this idea of the rock. It wasn't the gist of it. The gist of the segment was he's blasting the Democrats for even thinking of putting up the rock or encouraging the rock to run for president. He said, we gotta stop thinking that you have to be a celebrity. He said, when did you have to become a full-on celebrity to be elected? Oh, I know, because people are talking about putting up Oprah. He's like, no. We got to get away from this idea that you have to be a celebrity with the brand name and the recognition to get elected. So you don't need to be a celebrity. You just have to be able to govern. And he said, we had a guy like that for 8 years. That there's the value in having somebody that knows how to govern, and that means understanding the government, how it works, how to get things done, blah 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 blah, and one of my relatives said, well, Obama didn't. He was not that experienced as a governing. He didn't have that much government experience. It's not like he ran Illinois for 8 years or something like that. He was a senator just for one term, I think. So there's going to be both sides of that issue. Some people say we got to get rid of the celebrity culture. Others will say, it doesn't really matter anymore. I personally feel a little more comfortable with somebody that is a little more experienced than just being a celebrity. But even the politicians, though, how much do they know about these bills? And they don't read every bill. I think the Rock's magnetism and charisma and his positivity, like he really. I know you're laughing. You're like, oh boy, here we go with the positive thinking. But there's something about he does have a natural fountain of positivity. That is huge, right? As a politician, if you can maintain that, people respond to that. And if you can keep that going, if you can translate that into meaningful policy. And the other thing, he's a huge supporter of the troops. So that's another huge feather in his cap in terms of trying to get elected president. He supports the troops all the time, every day, all the time. You know what I mean? What do you think? Could The Rock be elected president? Could The Rock be elected president?
The Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? This guy said yeah. He said F yeah. See? A random guy in the street. He's just like, yeah. Of course. That was funny. I was walking by that guy. I go, what do you think? Could the Rock be elected president? He goes, F yeah. That's hilarious. See what I mean, though? And they talked to in this article. She talked to a couple of people and said that's how people react. I mean, politicians would kill to have that kind of goodwill around their name and that kind of feeling, you know. Because for better or worse, it really matters. It really matters in American politics. In politics, probably. In general, but definitely in America. Schwarzenegger, if he was born in America, I'll bet he could have become president. I'll bet he could have done it. One funny thing about this article was that they were talking about. By the way, this is in GQ. I don't know if I mentioned that. So look up Rock President GQ. You'll find it. I'll go right to it probably. Our author's name is Katie. I think it's Katie Weaver. Katie Caity. Great writer. Really great writer. As a writer, I'm reading it and I'm kind of looking at her sentence constructions and you kind of break down how a writer puts things together. As you're reading it, you're also analyzing it. But anyway, so the movie Baywatch came out. It was getting like 13%. It was getting like 13%, getting the Christmas decorations ready. Rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was just getting slagged by the critics. And so The Rock, and this is kind of a little bit of a Donald Trump style. He gets on Twitter and he's like, the people love this movie. The critics are out of touch. The people love this movie. But he kept it up. He kept hitting it and hitting it. I started thinking maybe he might have had a percentage. Well, he's always got probably some percentage. I don't know. But, you know, there was a Baywatch movie with Zac Efron and you know, the one thing The Rock has been good at, being a online, huge online consumer of content myself. I see The Rock a lot on YouTube, doing collabs with young YouTubers. So there's a YouTuber named Superwoman who has like 8 million subscribers. I've seen him do a couple videos with her. There's a guy named Logan Paul who, you know, has, I don't know, 12 million subscribers. He's done stuff with him. He actually gave him a part in one of his movies. Or maybe he gave him a part. He gave him some kind of part. I think maybe on the show Ballers, maybe. Where The Rock produced that show. And that's the other thing that Katie, the author, talked about in this article. The Rock is surprisingly adept at different types of acting. He's not necessarily Dustin Hoffman, you know, but they say he's pretty good at. Let's put it this way. It's almost like the way I understood it was. Hey guys, if you're gonna let your dog piss on the sidewalk, just move it over toward this where the cars are. That's what they call curb your dog. The way I understood it was he's not excellent, but he's pretty good at a lot of different types of movie formats, comedies, animation, you know, family fare. You know, he's definitely a pop culture guy, like, you know, on the Fast and the Furious, when he appeared on those movies. But he went. That's the other interesting thing is he had a cameo on. This is what the arc was, I think. He had a cameo on That 70s Show. And then I forget the order of events, but in the early days he appeared as a character on That 70s Show. Not as himself, but as like a. And then, you know, this is when he was really well known as The Rock, right? He was famous, but he was trying to break into Hollywood. So what do? They give you small roles, of course, as any actor. But even if you're a big famous guy. So I think they leveraged his wrestling background. He appeared as a sort of an impression of his dad. Like he was a wrestler. His dad has a mustache, so he had a mustache in this as his character on That 70s Show. Then he had some cameo on a movie, like some movie. Then he appeared for 10 minutes in The Mummy. I think this is right. And people loved him on that show, in that movie. So then Hollywood producers gave him his own role in a movie called The Scorpion King. And so they gave him his own movie. So he was such a hit in The Mummy, in his limited role, that they immediately slotted him for his own title role in The Scorpion King. and he was a hit ever since. So the article was talking about how unusual that is. How somebody, that's a true movie star, that you have such magnetism on screen that people can't get enough of it, and they make you a lead right away. Now you could say, well, in reality, he was building up to that by becoming The Rock, right? I mean, it wasn't just like he was a newbie actor still feeling their way. You could say that he was acting for years before he got any kind of TV movie role. He was acting as The Rock. He was playing a character for night after night for years, and then just translated that magic and charisma and experience and confidence on screen. So you could say it was inevitable that he was going to become a movie star. But it doesn't always work, so it's not inevitable. You know, sometimes people get on screen and they freeze, or they're dull, or they don't come across, or the camera doesn't like them. He was the opposite. He was the opposite. He was rocket fuel. He was an instant hit. And again, going in, had that name recognition. You know, so important. In those fields, you know, that brand is so important. But you could say that in any business. You know, how many people in your field are sort of revered, you know? You know what I mean? They're recognized as leaders in the industry. You know, you could say Jeff Bezos, or who else? Elon Musk. Mark Cuban. There's probably people in your industry that are the Mark Cubans of the industry. You know, at all the events, they're players, and they probably have, you know, different types of characters, but everybody's playing a role of some kind. But they probably have some kind of charisma, even if it's anti-charisma. Bill Gates, you could say, has anti-charisma, right? But he has, you know, he's done big things, so he has that image and weight of his words. The weight of his words, or James Altucher talks about, part of his appeal is he talks about his failures. So that would be you would think that'd be the opposite of a charismatic leader type, you know. But the guy has a tremendous amount of charisma. For that reason, he is empathetic. So there's different ways to do it. Billy Crystal, as a performer, has charisma, but he didn't jump around the stage, and he wasn't loud, you know, like Robin Williams. Robin Williams was loud and ran around. And Billy Crystal stood in one spot, but as he said, he let the audience come to him. And that's a legitimate way of doing it. Look at Vin Scully. Vin Scully, the longtime announcer for the Dodgers. He's not a overbearing type of character, but has that style and grace, right? You could call it maybe quiet charisma, because people love the guy and they're attracted to his performance as an announcer. So there's different ways of doing it. Depends on your personality, your field. But if you can find your style and then just keep refining it, you'll get there. All that said, it does help if you, well, like in comedy, for example, they say, make it your personality, but a little bit bigger. You know, some say double, some say 20% more. So even Billy Crystal, he was not loud and obnoxious, but he was, he had voices, he was engaging. So don't just, even some quieter comedian, Woody Allen as a stand-up. He wasn't a loud, obnoxious stand-up, but he was an amplified version of himself, right? Because even in real life, he probably was more. In real life, he was probably quieter and more shy than the performer you see on stage in the early days of his stand-up career. That whole shtick that he did, his voice, and that's an amplified version of his real self. So maybe that's the best advice. When you're performing, when you're doing interviews, when you're doing videos, when you're on stage, be yourself, but amp it up by 20 to 50%, so that it comes across. What you don't want is to be lifeless. Then you're dead, right? You don't want to be flat. That kills it. It just kills people. So keep it within your comfort zone, probably, but stretch it a little. The one thing you don't want is to be fake, and that'll kill you too. It's an art form. So it just comes from experience. That's why I say, just get out there and do stuff. You'll get better just doing it. You just get better. I've seen it over and over on Toastmasters. I was on Toastmasters for years. People come in, they join Toastmasters, they're horrible, terrible. In Toastmasters, they work in gradually, and the first speech is like your introduction speech. You talk about who you are, your background, why you're there, what you hope to get out of it. It's called the icebreaker. So people stand up there and they go, "Yeah, I'm Ted. I'm from such and such. I'm not really sure why I'm in this organization. I'm not sure why, but I wanted to try it." This is how they talk. And where am I from? Well, I'm from Chicago. That's how they speak. And it's monotone, and you're like, oh man, here we go. So some of them, by the third or fourth speech, they're so much different, because each speech encourages you to use a different facet of public speaking. So, for example, using gestures, or what they call vocal variety. And you're tasked with improving your speaking ability just on that one. Like every speech, as a new Toastmaster, you give 10 speeches, each speech focuses on one skill. So, week 3, vocal variety. This week you'll be judged primarily on your ability to use a variety of vocal inflections to add color to your speech. So by just isolating one skill at a time, it keeps you from freaking out. And then eventually you just get better. And you also understand that what makes a better speaker. Like, you might not have known vocal variety was, a thing. Maybe you thought everybody talked like this. Maybe you thought speaking like this was a good thing. It's not. You want to speak with some vocal variety, like that. A little bit of emphasis on certain words and phrases so that the audience doesn't fall asleep. Vocal variety is not just the different inflection of the vowels and the sounds going up or down, or the different inflections. It's a matter of pacing. I mean, if you could speak quicker, with more emphasis on those areas that you want to punctuate, by hitting the words a little harder and speaking a little more rapidly, and then if you slow it down when you're trying to make a different type of emphasis. If you have both these skills, if you can raise your voice and increase this rate of speaking, you'll have added a certain amount of impact that you didn't have before. See what I mean? That's pretty good, wasn't it? That was pretty good. I must have learned something. Oh my. James Altucher had a guy on his podcast. It's a podcast you should check out, by the way. James Altucher, Altucher. I can't remember the guy's name. Christopher something, maybe? It's one of the original founders of TED, the TED Talks. I think there's a couple people involved in the beginning, and he was one of them. Everybody knows TED Talks. He said they try to avoid, people that apply to be a TED speaker. They just want to be inspirational. They just want, he's like, don't come into TED Talks as a standard, inspirational, quote, motivational speaker. He said, we don't want that. He said, you can be inspiring, but he said, what they want is somebody that has done something in their life and then talks about it as best they can, right? They want that authenticity. They don't want you to be a professional speaker necessarily. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody that started a company and then can talk about that. Or they did some research, breakthrough research, and they talk about that. Or they, right? I mean, we've all seen TED Talks. Those people are not necessarily professional speakers. And they're all not, all of them, a lot of them aren't that great a speaker. But if your message is strong, if your story, that's a better way of putting it, if you can tell a story about your life and the things you've done, now you're onto something. And a quick tip, look up the hero's journey online and how that is used in storytelling. That will help your speech quite a bit, and all of your written and verbal communications, videos, podcasts. Because every great speaker has a hero's journey. in some capacity. Basically, it was I was here. I wanted more. I went out into the world and got the heck beat out of me by these dragons, these bad people, and bad things happened. I persisted. I enlisted the help of mentors and seers and influencers, and then I went into the land of the unknown, and I came back a hero. I triumphed. I came back a hero. So if you look at Star Wars is based on almost to 100%. It's based on ancient Greek stories. Ancient, the hero's journey arc is based on evaluating thousands of stories over thousands of years, and you just got to look it up. But you want to, as best you can, work your personal background into that journey and then apply it. So, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk is a popular speaker. He talks about I was born in Belarus, Russia, came to the United States as a kid, and then my father got a job at a liquor store and eventually bought his own liquor store, and I was a terrible student in school, D's and F's, and now I'm a multi-millionaire investor, speaker, and influencer. That's basically his arc, but the thing is, you need to go through difficulties. Don't just say, I was born in a rich family and my father gave me $10 million to start my business, which I grew into 40 million. Aren't I great? People hate that. But if you say, that's why, if your story naturally has struggle that you overcome, now you've got something. That's why you shouldn't shy away from your failures. You want those. You want those in your background, in your story, and to show that you ultimately triumphed. Because it fits a story structure that is wired into our brains. It's hardwired into our brains from thousands and thousands of years. So why don't reinvent the wheel? This is something that humans innately understand, is storytelling. So don't just go out there with a flat speech about something that has no story arc. Now, if you're just doing a speech on how to make pots, there's not necessarily a hero's journey there, but I'm saying your personal story, your speeches and other material should reflect your personal story. So how many times does Gary Vaynerchuk refer to this background of his? Almost every speech. Joe Polish is a marketing expert who started with his own carpet cleaning company and then branched into marketing, training and education and products, and becoming a marketing whiz from his success as a carpet cleaner guy. Well, he what's going on? It's out here, caminando.
All right, exercise. That's good, man. Yeah, I know.
Mi corazón.
How long? An hour?
About an hour.
Oh, that's good.
Trying to get a little healthier. Salud. All right, so Joe Polish started out as he says it all the time. In almost every interview, he'll work it into the conversation. He'll say something like, Well, as you know, or as you may not know, I started out as a dead broke carpet cleaner, living off credit cards, living in my mom's basement, and something, something. You know, he has it down. It's basically, that's more or less the phraseology, and there's a little more there. Tony Robbins talks about living in a, what does he say, a 400 square foot apartment, washing dishes in the bathtub. He talks about that all the time, right? And because they know that, first of all, you just would naturally want to include your background, but they say it so much over and over. The reason being, they know that your brain is wired to engage in that story. Star Wars. Look at Star Wars. The hero is in one state of mind. This tragedy happens, which forces him into action. He goes into unknown lands, experiences, dragons, and bad things happen out there in the world. They overcome, and then eventually triumph. Lord of the Rings. They, it's over and over and over and over. It's the movie, Bruce Willis movie. Just blanking on the name. Where he, he's in the building. He's just minding his own business. But then, these bad guys take the building, and he realizes he's by himself and has to get the bad guys, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it, and eventually he does it, and victory. So that story arc, the hero's journey, of which I'm doing a poor job of explaining it, but I encourage you to look it up, is as old as time. And the sooner that you incorporate the elements, it doesn't have to be in everything you talk about, right? Like, that you overcame all this, but it will make your job so much easier. In fact, James Altucher, for example, says you could just, if you wanted to write a novel, if you just used the classic structure, if you just use the classic structure, what's he saying? Of the hero's journey, you'll right away be a success. Your story will give the opportunity to be a success almost right away, because assuming you do it right, that it incorporates a story structure that is thousands of years old. Look it up online, Hero's Journey. I think you're gonna get a lot out of it. And apply that not just to things, people you interview, or stories, or people that you talk to, or their story. Incorporate it into your own story. Work your own story into this story structure. You're gonna have a lot of success with it, I think. Part of the secret is you have to be willing to show failures. Because what you're doing, it's not like, because we're so wired to success in this society, people don't want to do that. But what you're doing is showing that you've overcome challenges. And that's a vital part of the hero's journey. And it's a vital part of storytelling, right? And you want to do that because now you're borrowing, you're tapping into things that humans innately understand. So why wouldn't you want to use the power of something that's innately in everybody's brain. If I could give you a secret that would help accelerate your storytelling and the success of your business, and it's already in everybody's brain. Already, the software is already in people's brains. All you have to do is tap into it. Then you would say, I'm a miracle worker. And you would pay me to learn that skill. Well, it's all there. You just got to, look it up, think about it, apply it to your own personal story, and then use that in your videos, in your bio for sure. Don't try to come off as a star. Come off as somebody that's been through struggles and triumphed. That's what you want. Let the story be the star. You'll end up being it's called the hero's journey for a reason. You're the hero. And when you're dealing with other people, make them the hero. Right? It's not just a formula that works just for you. Use it all the time in different contexts. We could go on, and we'll talk about it more. But I got to run. Talk to you soon.